Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about farm to early care in Minnesota, culturally relevant resources and support. I'm here with my friends and colleagues, Zang Vang-Lee from the Hmong Early Childhood Coalition and Janssen from the Hmong American Farmers Association. And we're so glad you were able to join us today. So today I'm just going to give a super brief overview. I think many of you are familiar about what farm to early care is, and then pass it to Zang to talk about HECC generally and some gardening and nutrition education work that they have done, followed by Janssen talking about HAFA more generally, and then some local purchasing and early care provider work that they have done. So in case you aren't familiar, and I'm sure this is review, farm to early care, you may have heard the term farm to school. Early care is really about those birth until they hit kindergarten kids, incorporating 3 different main tenets of farm to early care. And that can look a lot of different ways, but at its core, it's about gardening, nutrition education, or how we talk about food with kids, and local purchasing, which looks a lot of different ways. Here you can see an early care provider with actually produce from a HAFA CSA box. Just to take one minute to introduce myself and our organization. I work for the Institute for Agriculture and Trade Policy on farm to school and on farm to early care work. We've done a lot of work over the years with documentation and storytelling. My colleague Erin in particular does some policy advocacy, and then I've had the chance to work with both Zang and Janssen in various ways about sort of resources and support surrounding farm to early care. We do an informal early care provider connection monthly via Zoom. If you'd ever be interested in joining us, I'd be happy to get you the link. We also have a quarterly newsletter that's informal if either you'd be interested in receiving it, or if you ever have resources that you think relate that your organization or others have made that you'd like to share with early care providers, or opportunities to connect. I'd love to get information in that. And we are always trying to update and improve we have a farm to early care MN website. So really, I want to use today to focus on these 2 great organizations and the work that they have done in this realm. That is only one realm of the work that they do. So want to use this opportunity to get a little more information and share a little more information. First, I'm so excited to introduce Zang Vang-Lee. She works for the Hmong Early Childhood Coalition, and I'm excited to have her here today.
Thank you, Nora. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Zang Vang-Lee, as Nora mentioned, and I am the project manager with Hmong Early Childhood Coalition. So just really overseeing the projects and initiatives here. If you don't know Hmong Early Childhood Coalition yet or haven't heard, we are a community-based organization dedicated to sharing research and best practices on early learning. Our work is mostly with the adults who have or care for children ages birth to 8. And our coalition has been around since 2006, but we just recently became a nonprofit in 2022. Our mission is to partner with families and communities to ensure children have access to culturally appropriate early learning services through training, resources, and advocacy. And our vision is that families and their children feel accepted, supported, and empowered to reach their full potential. So these are our priority areas. First one is sharing information. So we're really just providing information and resources to families so that they are aware and can access them. Bridging families to services, but also vice versa. So bridging services to families as well, making those connections. And then our last priority area is advocacy and systems change, which is really encouraging parents and caregivers to use their voice to advocate for themselves and their family. Go to the next one. And we try to meet these areas through all of these projects and programs here. So providing early childhood trainings to licensed and unlicensed providers, our parents, family, friend and neighbor caregivers, and really anyone who is just interested in young children, right? Early childhood in those early years. We deliver these trainings on a monthly basis and also in Hmong. We also develop curriculum that is culturally relevant to our families and parents. And our caregivers, of course. This includes ensuring that stories, experiences, and information is responsive to needs. We provide space for caregivers and community to come together to learn and network with one another, really fostering the community's relationship with each other and also with organizations that are out there. One of our the big piece of our work is really community engagement. We are out engaging within the community with our families and our community members. So we go into the communities where our families reside, and just really sharing resources and information along with our partners' information, but also to listen and hear from our community and bring that back to inform our work. We have 3 different programs. Our Family, Friend, and Neighbor Caregiver, which is working specifically with caregivers who are not licensed, but do take care of children other than their own. And we provide resources, training, and support for them. We have an early learning coach that works one-on-one with them as well. And our All About Me and I Strive programs are 2 programs that are directly working with children ages 3 to 5 and their families. It's always important to include those caregivers. And it's focused on fostering their cultural identity and social emotional development. So that is some of the work that we are doing. But I am here today to share more about the work that we have done with Farm to Early Care. As an organization, we understand the importance of fostering positive and healthy relationships with children and families. So we create opportunities for them to engage in meaningful and culturally relevant ways. So over the past 2 years, we have developed and offered different opportunities that are focused on health, nutrition, and physical activities. These opportunities have brought together children, families, FFN caregivers, and licensed early educators. We have partnered with the University of Minnesota Extension, the Institute for Agricultural Trade and Policy, Hmong American Farmers Association, and the Minnesota State Horticultural Society throughout the last couple of years. In our collaboration with our partners, we have offered training around health and nutrition for early educators. We created and distributed culturally and linguistically appropriate materials. We've developed 3 courses on Seed to Table that is available through Develop. We've offered play and learn sessions, which are drop-in play that provides activities related to physical, nutrition, and social emotional skills. And this spring, we were able to distribute garden boxes and plants to about 25 FFNs and licensed caregivers. So I want to go in a little bit, give you a little bit more information about what I just shared. So we recognize, again, the importance of developing culturally responsive courses. And to me, what that means is that the materials, the information and concepts are relevant and resonates with the participants. So not just the linguistic piece, like we can speak delivered in Hmong, but understanding the cultural piece is also very important to us. And in our partnership with IATP, we created 3 2-hour courses that are focused on Seed to Table, and they can really be taken in any order. So these are the 3. Growing a garden with young children. Participants engage in multiple activities around gardening and growing food. They discuss how gardening and growing their own food with young children encourages healthy habits and supports their developmental skills. Our next one is maintaining a garden. So participants look at the scientific thinking domain of the ESIPs to plan activities around growing and maintaining a garden with children. They also get to share their experiences, explore several activities related to science concepts, and write down their ideas for planning. And then the last one is Harvest to Table. So participants explore the math component of the Minnesota ESIPs and discuss how harvesting fruits and vegetables with children can encourage healthy eating. They also share experiences, prepare meals, and recipes with math concepts in mind as they explore during these sessions. We are very mindful of and to include interactive experiences within our courses and not just lecturing. And so those are some of the you can see in this photo. This was one of our growing a garden with young children. Sorry, Nora. They were planting seeds, and it was part of our growing a garden with young children. Thank you. Okay, you can go to the next slide. Again, we have created culturally and linguistically appropriate materials that are in Hmong and English, and that includes both of Hmong dialects, so Green and White Hmong as well. We've created vocabulary cards, emotion cards. We've also created books and matching cards. And so here on the left corner picture, the little girl, that's a book that we partner with an early educator, but also a trainer, Ja's Favorite Vegetables, and she focused on seed to table here. These materials were provided to our participants in our play and learn session, our trainings, and other opportunities that we have provided throughout the year. We do want families to take things away with them, leave, our space with something so that they can practice at home with their children. Go to the next one. This is pictures of our cooking class. This is one of our very first health and nutrition opportunities. We took food items that were listed on the WIC programs and asked the community what they like to cook with them and how they cook them. So we did some posts on our social media. We did some focus groups. We were at an event where we were able to just engage in conversation with community members. So we gathered the information and created a recipe book. And then before finalizing the book, we took the draft recipes and cooked them with 6 families. And these are the results. We made cabbage rolls, vegetable soup, sweet potato, tofu stir fry. So they're all part of our recipe. You can go to the next one. I mentioned play and learn. So just this year, we started our Play and Learn session in partnership with Hennepin County, but also the U of M Extension and other partners as well. This, again, provides drop-in unstructured play. We have activities as, spread out across the space, the room. We also have a space for nutrition section in the spring time. We really focus on that nutrition piece. And so we had a section for the nutrition piece where the parents and the families made their own snacks. And here is a picture of the children and families making a shaved cucumber drink. We've also offered like yoga in these sessions, both large and small motor skills. Here's another play and learn during our gardening theme. And so families came and planted seeds. And then on the right corner, you see we have this little made up garden. So they're talking about, it looks like mom and the daughter is talking about the carrot. This fall, we are in Brooklyn Park Library and St. Paul Public Library to offer these sessions. So I feel like we've done a lot. in our farm to early care work, and we're going to continue because we know how important it is to continue talking about health and nutrition and just some of those farm to early care concepts. And so we want to continue to work with our current partners, but also establish new partners as well to create opportunities for families. If you are interested in connecting, this is my information. Do follow us on Facebook. And I know Nora has some of our materials on the website, so make sure you check it out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zang. Yeah, I will echo what I'll also put the link. The book that Zang mentioned you can order both a board book version and a traditional paper version. If that's something you're interested in, I can confirm it is a very sweet and very fun book. Thanks so much, Zang. And with that, I'm going to move over to Janssen. I also wanted to remind folks we will have time for questions. So anything you come up with, if you want to put it in the chat, or we'll have time at the end if you want to unmute yourself and ask directly. So with that, I'm going to introduce Janssen Hang. He's the Executive Director at the Hmong American Farmers Association. And take it away, Janssen.
Thank you so much, Nora. Thank you, Zang. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be joining you guys on this very special topic about really elevating a younger generation or early childcare programs here. As Nora's mentioned, my name is Janssen. I'm the executive director and also co-founder of the Hmong American Farmers Association. We are a membership-based nonprofit organization that was created by farmers for farmers, primarily to address the inequity in the food and farming system faced by Hmong farmers in Minnesota. Primarily because they are kind of like the lifeblood of our local food system since the early 90s and really revitalized the farmers market. But yet, because of challenges and barriers here that regulated Hmong farmers to more second-class status. With that, the mission of the organization is to advance the economic, social, and cultural prosperity of Hmong American farmers and their families, to create a pathway to increase self-efficacy, but also to intergenerational and community wealth here. Organizationally here, we heavily focus on a number of things. One is our theory of change, where we heavily focus on, building capacity of farmers and also their families, and that in return that they can build and change the capacity and elevate the capacity of our communities. And lastly is to build community wealth, right? Intergenerational and community wealth here. So living in that here, at HAFA, we heavily focuses on our whole food model. That is kind of the ethos that our work exists in. And so working with farmers, that they have always expressed to us that the main barriers is lack of access to land, lack of access to markets, credit and capital, and training and research here. And so as a result of that what we've done is that part of our whole food model, while we feel that land is necessary to grow your produce, right? That with land and without markets here, you can grow your produce, but you don't have an avenue here to really sell your produce and generate, and see a return on economics in your inputs here. So while it's necessary to have land, it does not have substantial impact. At the same time, while you have land and markets, but you don't have access to credit capital to really build your farm assets and make your farm operation more efficient, while it's necessary, it does not have substantial impact. So in order to have substantial impact, you must address it as a whole. And our whole food model is a holistic approach that we believe that all aspects of the food and farming industry must be freely and simultaneously accessible to truly build intergenerational and community wealth. And that in this practice here, that we use organizing and advocacy as our key approach here, because we want to try to create equitable opportunities here. You can't do it in a simplified way, but you have to use whatever avenue here that would make sense, or let alone meet the communities where they're at. And that is the whole food model, is the holistic approach that we're trying to create the change we want to see. And at the end of the day, that we will build community and intergenerational wealth here. Next slide, please. So at HAFA, with regards to that, so our challenges was land, markets, access to credit, capital, trainings, and research here. So what we've done is that we have taken that into our programs at HAFA, where we have our land access, where HAFA owns and operates a 155-acre incubator, educational, and research farm just 20 minutes south of the Twin Cities off of Highway 52. So if you're ever traveling down that corridor here, you'll probably see a number of red sheds on both sides, the east side as well as the west side of Highway 52, and that is a HAFA farm. So now you know where the HAFA farm is. But not only that, but this HAFA farm also provides land tenures to 18 farming families who livelihood derived from their farm business operations here. Not only are we providing land access to our farmers, but we're also modeling sustainable practice from contour planting here, cover cropping, the impact of soil health and fertilities, water infiltrations, and also looking at, the bee-class colonies here. The other thing that we focus on is our financial assistance program. It's about how do we support our farmers to gain access to credit and capital so that they can further their farming operations here. And part of our financial assistance program is to really improve or increase the financial literacy of our farmers here, right? A deeper understanding about budget, profit loss, balance sheets, record keeping. And the part of the financial assistance program is to work with our farmers to generate farm business plan so that they may take it to any agricultural lending institutions here and obtain the necessary fund to support their operations here. Coupled with that is that HAFA runs an IDA program or individual development account where we provide a one-to-one match up to $5,000 to support our farmers in this endeavor. The other program we provide is our training program. We have always valued the importance of cultural knowledge that our parents or that our ancestors or elders bring, because agriculture is, a key component to the tradition of the Hmong people. But at the same time, what we do is we increase that, and the avenue to build their capacity is to have these training programs here that focuses on 7 core modules, where we're bringing an expert and subject matter experts here to share with our farmers about whether that's on whole farm planning, soil health or fertility, integrated pest management, post-harvest handling, whatever the topic may be. But at the same time, we also challenge our educators or trainers here that as they come into the space here, that they are not only educators, but they're also learners. That there is so much to extract and to learn from both the farmers and also from subject matter. And this training program is very much unlike others here too. Very similar to HECC, that our training program is a bilingual, bicultural training program here that's all articulated in Hmong for our Hmong farmers. And so we have seen the success of a training program to really elevate, the knowledge of our farmers, and then not only that, but also seeing it being implemented on the farm. Another program we have is our research program. We know that in the state of Minnesota, here, the University of Minnesota has such an extensive research program around mixed vegetable productions here, which all of our farmers do because we grow over 120 varieties of mixed fruits, vegetables, and flowers on the HAFA farm. But none of that information is actually related or translated back to our Hmong farmers who are really leading the local food movement. And so what HAFA does is that we would extract these research projects here that are developed by the University of Minnesota and share that with our farmers. Share about some of the experience the University of Minnesota doing, but at the same time explore other cultivars here that we can challenge our farmers to think differently about their approach, or let alone which is most viable considering the soil texture and condition that we are farming on. And then last but not least is our alternative market program. That HAFA or our farmer members, their primary outlet is the farmers market system. And how do we create sustainable farming operation if that is our only market? So the purpose of the alternative market program, what it does is it houses our food hub so that we would support our farmers in diversifying market outlet beside the farmers market system. So we would secure contract with institutions, wholesalers, retailers, co-ops. We run a 1,000 community support agriculture program or CSA program. But in that is and houses our farm to early care program. Next slide, please. So the importance of our farm to early care program is not about just building capacity of farmers, but it's about strengthening our farm. Right? It's about increasing food literacy. It's about developing the young minds of these children here so that they would have a healthy palate, and also to use as an avenue to more of a preventive care, right? So that if they consume healthy food at an early age, they're more likely to consume healthy food out when they get older, let alone prevent any sort of illnesses, chronic illnesses, obesities, high blood pressure, diabetes, and whatnot. But besides that, the benefit of the early care program, what it does is really supports local farmers, right? It creates economic development or economic opportunities for them to diversify market outside the farmers market system. And truly at the end, it is about building community, right? As part of HAFA's ethos that we are here to support the capacity of farmers and families here, but to build, community, to build community wealth. And clearly food connects us all. So to share more about our Farm to Earlier program, like what does that look like at HAFA? At HAFA, we work with our farmers. We work with our farmers to grow various different types of produce here, right? And to ensure that they're complying with food safety practices here, post-harvest handling, that they are providing the most nutritious, richest, and also fresh produce to our community members, our young community members. And that in that process, where we work with our farmers on a one-to-one basis to develop, like, what are those produce, and what are their key practices, that HAFA, in return, we are coordinating with whether that is providers or center base here to say what is the best outcome, how should it be delivered, and then we create a plan to deliver the produce to the providers here so that it meets providers and to minimize the impact of farmers or providers to have to travel to various different places, but at the convenience where it's close proximity to their homes or their place. And then in return that we will follow up with our providers to obtain feedback. What went well, what didn't go well? What are some of the stories that you can share with us here? Like how thrilled and how happy are the children here? Next slide, please. So the way that we run our Farm to Early program is we run it as almost a community support agriculture program, where participants would actually receive a weekly box for 19 weeks that consists of summer share, a fall share, and Thanksgiving share. And the reason why we space it on this way is more so that there's specific type of produce that grows within a specific season as well too. So in that CSA program, we currently have 16 Hmong farming families members here that are providing produce that are being aggregated from them and then delivered to 14 Hmong providers here. Many of them, at one time had enrolled in CACFP. Currently, we have 3 enrolled, but also saw the challenges of CACFP program. But needs to say that regardless of what that is, that we're thinking about the younger children. So this is impacting 82 children here. And then part of that is we follow up virtual sessions and whatnot. So the purpose of the Farm to Early program is not about increasing access to fresh looking grown produce grown by Hmong farmers, but it's also focusing on culture appropriate produce here. And that in that space here, what we do is that we would create and support create resources to really support our providers, right? It's similar to like the bilingual bicultural Hmong menus here and the recipes that we've established here, or other curriculums around like tastes, smells, sights, textures here, right? And then we would create these events here where we would gather to create a peer-to-peer learning sessions here. But the beauty of the Farm to Early Care program has been exponential. Similar to this, as you'll see, this is a recipe book. It's not just a recipe to really support our providers here, but more so taking this recipe because we know that the CACF program here is a federally recognized program to support providers. We're creating this meal plan that, would create nutritious meal for the children here. But one of the biggest challenges is the fact that many of the programs and meals established in the CACFP program does not recognize culture appropriate meals or let alone culture appropriate produce here. So what HAFA had done in collaboration with IATP, with HECC, is that we came to the development of these along with our providers. And what we've done is we created these recipe books here. We shared it with the Minnesota Department of Education because they oversee the CSE program within our state, and they have approved it. And so that our intention is that once it's approved by the state, that we can bring this forth to USDA and really incorporate this. And we saw the success of this. Farmers, providers are saying that, it's a lot simpler to, make inputs around culture appropriate meals, or let alone that, culture appropriate produce is listed, as opposed to, I'm providing mustard green, but mustard green is not on this list, so I have to find something to supplement it. Does it fall under spinach? Does it fall under lettuce? Right, and that becomes challenging and quite onerous here for a provider whose day and time is spent taking care of children, and to allocate a small time to administrative that is quite cumbersome here. So this is going to share to you like some of the Hmong recipes that we have established in partnership with IATP as well as with HECC. Next slide, please. So what was the outcome of all this? The outcome of our Farm to Early program has been extraordinary. Children are learning a lot about various different types of produce, incorporating that as part of the senses and curriculum about shape, size, texture, and smell. I mean, it's funny how sometimes I hear stories from providers and saying, they've been giving a bitter melon. It's quite odd shape. It had these really crivets and curves. What is that? And then we also give them like dills. And the providers are like, well, what is this? They ask. And they're like, well, this is dill. Like, what do you use it for? Oh, produce. But they use it as aromatherapy because it's so calm and strong, right? So it's quite comical here how creative for providers are doing. The other thing is that they expose fresh looking grown and culture appropriate produce to our communities here, right? To not just our communities, but also to institutions that have oversights over various different programs, to the general public or USDA, the federal program. The outcome of the Farm to Early Care program is that what we saw and heard from our providers, that it increased produce consumptions here. Children are more likely to consume something that they're currently exposed to or more exposed to than others, right? The outcome, as I mentioned earlier, that NBA, the Minnesota Department of Education, has recognized and approved these culture appropriate produce and meals that we have established. And lastly, that it grows vibrant and sustainable farming operations for Hmong farmers. It gives them the ability to obtain secure market outlet and not have to worry whether, will people come to the farmer's market today because it's raining? Or are we going to encounter a catastrophe because like something like COVID? And so with that, I want to end with one last quote that in the process of working with a number of providers, I had the opportunity to drop off a box of produce. And as I was dropping off this box of produce, these kids kind of hounded me. They hounded me and they're like, you brought produce. What's in this box today? You know what? I love strawberries. I love kales. They are the best. And I was like, wow, this excitement that grew from these children here, because they've been exposed to this. One is the fact that maybe it's because it's a mystery box, but the fact that they're able to articulate what they love. And strawberries is almost like a given, but kale is what threw me off. It's like, what does a 4-year-old knows what to do with kales, and what really enticed them just to really ask and make this comment here. So I'm really pleased to see the growth of the Farm to Early Care program, not just in the number of participants, not just in access to freshly grown produce, but really changing the mindsets of our younger generations here. And surely that I am appreciative of this, but also appreciative of the partnership and collaboration, because at the end of the day, we are building agents of change here. So with that, thank you so much for the time. Feel free to contact me with my information on this slide as well too. And have a good day.
Thank you so much, Janssen. I'm just so thrilled to get to share with you all. I've learned so much from Janssen and from Zang, and I think their organizations are just doing so many cool things. So I'm just thrilled to get to share more about Farm to Early Care and these great resources. I will link those in the chat, and thanks for joining us.